Is Greg Brown over there on the telephone with us, and our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Greg, good morning.
Well, good morning on a very historic day.
Why?
Well, on this very day in 1935, Babe Ruth was granted his release by the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
He ended up going to the Braves.
Uh-huh.
But that's not really history was made today when Jack Benedict was born.
Whoa!
This is his birthday. That's the Babe Ruth of sports radio broadcasters.
Listen to you, man. All I got to do is cast it out there, and you take it and run, don't you?
Now, in addition to that, just to continue the incredible segue, It was also on this day just 2 years ago that Nolan Arenado was the highest paid position player ever. He got, I think, $33.5 million per year, 8-year deal, $260 million with the Rockies. So again, you talk about high paid, high attention getting superstars. It's Arenado, Ruth, Benedict.
It's getting high in here right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah, it's getting real high. I understand, yeah.
All right, so, Greg, is there any rumor to the story or any truth to the story that you actually hid in the equipment trunk and you rode from PNC Park all the way to Bradenton, Florida because you couldn't wait to get there?
I did. Under any circumstance, I said I would get there, and come heck or high water, I had to do that. I was actually threw myself into Brian Reynolds' bat rack. He's got a really big bag that he carries his bats in, and Scott Bones, his nickname Bones, our equipment manager, has all these bags of bats he throws in there. So yeah, I jumped in there, and thanks to Brian Reynolds' extra large bat bag, I made it to Bradenton.
I thought maybe you just hid among all the bobbleheads left over from last year and just bobbled your head a little bit. But anyway.
I could do that too, yeah.
Greg, you are actually in Bradenton, Florida.
Yes. Yeah, actually, in all seriousness, I actually drove down. It took about a little bit more than 2 days to do it. Took my time. Got here a couple days ago, and ready to go. Our first game is Sunday, and could not be more excited, really. I don't know that I've been as excited about a spring training because, it was all, the rug was taken from under us abruptly on March the 12th last year, and baseball came to a screeching halt. We didn't know what the future was to bring, and we ended up having to wait a long time before we actually played a short season, un-baseball-like 60 games.
Yeah.
What's great about this year is knowing we're playing a real season. This one counts, 162 games. Last year I throw out as an asterisk season. No disrespect to the Dodgers. They're still a great team. They've been a great team for a long time, or anybody else, the Tampa Bay Rays who went to the World Series. Good year, but you can't, nothing can compare to 162 games. And I think that becomes, by the way, the great equalizer for 2021. And I'm waiting and I've been trying to watch and read and listen to the pundits to when is someone going to discuss how teams are going to deal with this inevitably, because we had a bunch of injuries last year. It's going to be tenfold, and that's an exaggeration, but there are going to be more injuries this year just by the sheer volume of games, but because these athletes are trained in a certain way, these baseball players, they're geared up to prepare for a certain amount of games. So they go from 162 in 2019 to 60 to 162. It's never happened before in the history of the sport. How are these bodies going to react to this? And especially the pitchers. That, to me, is the fascinating aspect, that that these coaches, these managers, these general managers, they never like to have an inordinate amount of innings from 1 year to the next. They don't like to have it jump too much from 1 year to the next in terms of volume. Well, Lance Lynn of the Texas Rangers last year was the major league leader in innings pitched, 84. Now, he's not going to go from 84 to 250 innings. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It'd kill his arm. But that's the innings leader in baseball. In fact, there are only 3 pitchers in all of baseball who threw as many as 80 innings. It's to me, it's the great unknown, and I think it's going to be the great equalizer. And I'm not suggesting by any stretch that this has anything to do with the Pirates winning games. I think the Pirates are going to struggle mightily this year in terms of wins and losses. But I think there are going to be a ton of teams that people aren't even thinking about that are going to struggle because pitchers are either going to go down because of injury, or they're going to have some setup where all these teams are going to say, "Listen, we've got to gear up for the August and September late season run." Mm-hmm. We can't have Garrett Cole, for example. Is Garrett Cole going to go from 60 innings to 260 innings? No way. Yeah. So how these teams prepare for it is fascinating to me. And like I said, they're either going to go down because they're forced to by the teams to shut it down early so that they're ready for postseason, or ready for next year, not get hurt, or they're going to get hurt because they're going to be pushed too far.
Here's the intriguing thing about it all for me. With everything that you just said, the lower minor leagues, AA and lower, they're starting a month later. And so for that first month of the season, as guys go down at the major league level, and probably more than in other first months of a season, the depth of the structure to bring guys up is going to be really tested. The AAA Indianapolis Indians are going to have a pitching staff, but how many of those guys are going to get called up to the big team? And then there's nobody to replace them at Indy because the curve and everybody else below them, they're waiting a month to start. So that compounds it all.
It's compounded by that fact, and it's going to be interesting because last year, because there's only 60 games, and because they had to have those players in the satellite camps to allot for COVID, a lot of players bypassed AAA, even AA, and went from single A to the big leagues, some with success. So, they did it without any season. They were practicing in Altoona, for example, and then all of a sudden they're thrust into big league games. So, in essence, it's kind of what you're talking about here. Are teams going to look at what happened last year and say, well, heck, these guys succeeded, many of them that we brought up. Are they going to be interested in doing the same thing, even though the minor league seasons start as late as they're going to, as you suggest? Yeah. It's the great unknown. There's so much to look forward to, in my opinion, because it's fascinating. That how are these teams, how are they going to do this? And the other thing, too, which I think speaks to this Pirates rebuild, which I believe will happen quicker than rebuilds in the past, because teams have been eliminated from the minor leagues. There have been literally teams forced to be eliminated from the system. So now you only have, 4 minor league teams, yeah, I believe, per major league club. So now the number of minor league players reduced drastically, which is going to, you would think, get them promoted from A to AA to AAA quicker, which gets them to the big leagues quicker. And again, because last year there were so many players that had success with very little minor league experience, I think this gets players, good players, to the major leagues quicker than any time in our lifetime. Now, again, this all could change in the coming years, but I think that the Pirates' talent can get to the big leagues quicker than in years past now because of the attrition of these minor league teams.
Yeah, certainly, especially in the bullpen. Just a couple of moments left with Greg Brown this morning. By the way, Greg, I just texted you Jack's reply to your comments about the Dodgers. The Dodgers and their World Series championship. But in just the last couple of moments with you this morning, what has stood out to you in your first couple of days there watching the Bucks? Has somebody made the bat crack a little bit louder or the mitt pop a little bit faster?
Well, no. I mean, for me, I harken back to Jim Leland when he barked back at some reporter asking him after a couple days of spring training. It might have been, heck, I might have asked him this question about, hey, anybody look good? He goes, Brownie, in his gruff voice, we had a couple of bullpen sessions. You think we can determine what a guy's going to do in the major league season because a guy throws a couple of bullpen innings? So it's just too early to tell. I know Polanco hit a couple of long home runs yesterday, but I'm not going to get caught up in Polanco and oversell him because unfortunately his track record is such that he doesn't deserve a lot of accolades right now. He's got to prove himself. It's like, for me, Polanco's like a rookie coming in. He's had a stretch or two in his entire major league career that gets you excited. But until he puts together a season, for me, Polanco is just, whatever you get from Polanco is a bonus, in my opinion. Yeah. The guy I'm looking forward to have the big bounce back year is Brian Reynolds. He's too good a hitter, too good a player. So I think he's going to be really good. I think the bullpen's going to be strong. I think the Pirates can surprise some people. I don't think they're going to, people talk about losing 100-plus games. I don't think that's the case. The National League Central Division isn't that good. And stranger things have happened. They're certainly not favorites by any stretch to contend for a division title or even a wild card. But like I said, stranger things have happened, and the great unknown of 2021 is, again, going not just for the pitchers, but for position players. How are they going to react from going to add 100 games to from the previous season? Mm-hmm. It's going to be way different than people are expecting.
Yeah, and one of the other interesting things, and we have to close out our time, we could go on for hours, but to me it's going to be guys like Nick Gonzalez who are going to hang around big league camp longer because of the way spring training is structured this year, so we'll get a longer look at some of this talent that's coming up through the Pirates minor league system. Greg Brown, thanks so much for being with us today. This has been fun.
Hey, and I just got to say, in terms of, again, happy birthday in all sincerity to the great Jack Benedict. I put the asterisk, again, just in case anybody's wondering, the Dodgers won the World Series last year, but it forever will have a gigantic asterisk, like, oh, okay, they won it, but 60 games, come on. Win a real championship, Dodgers.
Oh, Greg, what are we going to do with you? Hey, I did want to tell you before we say goodbye, and I'm keeping you much longer than we should. The segment we did a month or so ago on the Hall of Famers who have passed away and the stories you told got more comment on that than I think any segment in the last 5 years.
Wow. Holy cow. We'll have to do another one down the road.
People just love talking about that. So
yeah, that's great. Great
good job by you. Greg Brown, thanks so much.
Thanks a million.
We'll see you.
Take care.
There's Greg Brown of the Pittsburgh Pirates.